Hello everyone, here is a picture of the blood test results some of you may have seen. Let's look at the number 1 and number 12 mean. Yes, the white and red cell counts, respectively. What does that tell us? That means we have cells in our blood. Do plants have cells? What is the structure of the cell? Today we are going to introduce the structure of plant cells. We will learn about cells from 3 parts: the discovery of cells, the concept of cells, and the basic structure of cells. First, let's look at the cell discovery. The cell was discovered by the British scholar Robert Hooke in 1665. When he used a homemade light microscope to look at a thin slice of cork, magnifying it to find a small space one by one, and named it after the English word cell. Cells are the basic units of morphological structure and life activities of independent living organisms. In order to understand the morphological structure and life activities of plants, we must first understand the plant cells. The cells that make up the plant body are varied in shape. The common ones are spherical, oval, cylindrical, and so on. The shape of plant cells is determined by where they are distributed and the physiological functions they perform. For example, cells distributed in loose parts of the plant body are round and oval. Plant cells can be divided into prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells according to their evolution and structural complexity. The vast majority of living organisms are composed of eukaryotic cells. The living plant eukaryotic cells consist of cell wall, protoplast, and ergastic substance. The cell wall surrounds the outside of the protoplast, which is the general term for the functional part of the plant cell wall. Ergastic substance is a variety of metabolites produced by protoplasts, such as starch, enzymes, etc. Let's start with the cell wall. Cell wall is a unique structure of plant cells, which surrounds the outermost layer of the cell and plays a protective role in protoplasts. According to the formation sequence and chemical composition of cell wall, it can be divided into 3 parts: intercellular layer, primary wall, and secondary wall. The intercellular layer, also known as middle lamella, is the earliest layer that emerges at the end of cell mitosis. It is mainly composed of fruit gum. The primary wall is located inside the intercellular layer and is formed during cell growth. The primary wall is generally thin and soft and can extend as the cell grows. The secondary wall is located on the inside of the primary wall and is formed after the cell stops growing and enlarging. Therefore, the living plant cells have only the intercellular layer and the primary wall, and there is no secondary wall. Let's look at a few concepts. The first, primary pit field, some thin concave area left by the cell during the formation of the initial wall. The second, pit, refers to the area of depression formed by the uneven thickening of the secondary wall on the primary wall. It's a channel for the exchange of water and materials between cells. There are 3 types of bordered pits: single pits and half-bordered pits according to the thickening of the pits. The third, plasmodesma, is a protoplasmic filament that crosses the adjacent cell wall and plays a role in material transport and information transmission. On the right is the microstructure of plasmodesma of persimmon endosperm cells. The existence of pitted pores and plasmodesmosis makes the multicellular plant a unified whole. Now, let's look at protoplasts. Protoplast is a general term for all parts of a living cell except the cell wall. It mainly includes plasma membrane, cytoplasm, and nucleus. Let's start with the plasma membrane. Plasma membrane is also called cell membrane or biofilm. It's a thin membrane that surrounds the surface of the cytoplasm. Scientists have proposed many hypotheses and models about the structure of membranes, and the picture on the right is one of them, called the fluid mosaic model. This is a dynamic model with a main emphasis on the flow of lipid bilayers forming a membrane continuum, while protein molecules are scattered in a sea of lipids like a group of islands. The function of the plasma membrane is to control the exchange of substances between cells and the external environment. The structure of the nucleus is divided into 3 parts: Nuclear membrane, nucleolus, and karyoplasm. The nuclear membrane is a double membrane. There are nuclear pores on the surface, which are the channels for material exchange between cells and cytoplasm. The nucleolus is the site of synthesis and storage of ribosomal subunits. The nucleoplasm is the material inside the nuclear membrane and outside the nucleolus. The cytoplasm includes the cellular matrix and organelles. Organelles are subcellular structures formed by protoplasmic specialization, which have a certain form and bear specific physiological functions. The cytosol is the part of the cytoplasm that surrounds the organelles. There are many kinds of organelles in plant cells, which carry out various metabolic activities. There are mainly plastids, mitochondria, vacuoles, Golgi bodies, endoplasmic reticulum, lysosomes, spheroids, microsomes, ribosomes, and cytoskeleton. It can be seen that the various parts of the cell are not isolated from each other, but are interrelated. In fact, a cell is an organic unity. Only by maintaining the integrity of the structure can the cell normally complete various life activities. From what we have just explained, we know that the plant cell is the smallest unit of the structure of the plant body, and the plant body is an organic whole. A song sings that home is the smallest country, the country is thousands of millions. It can be said that the family is the basic cell of the country, so patriotism and love home are complementary to each other. That's all for today's lesson, and I'll see you next time.